So I'm grateful that we're all here together in this very mysterious and powerful way. So I was here last week. I spoke about gratitude in a kind of a more of a traditional frame from a Buddhist perspective, and I'll talk about this a little bit. And then what I wanted to do today was frame gratitude as being incredibly powerful when we wake up to the truth of impermanence, that nothing lasts. You know, in Buddhism, it's one of the marks of existence that we're really actively understanding and feeling in the present moment and actually realizing the truth that there's nothing that really stays or lasts in any permanent way. Would you all agree that that's true? Yeah? You know, it's beautiful about this practice is that the Buddha was always inviting us to discover in our own experience if any of this is true. None of it is dogmatic. But if you really pay attention and we're present, we realize that there really is nothing that lasts. We feel it, and it wakes us up into this incredible experience, being fully alive. It's a kind of paradox, isn't it? That only when we face the truth of impermanence that do we really live. I wonder if anyone relates to that. So I'll frame it this way. For me, it's one of the essential factors of waking up into this amazing blessed state of a kind of state of grace. When we really wake up, it's like nothing that you can describe in words, I think, when we feel this. So gratitude. I'll just say a bit about it, and that as maybe you discovered in the meditation that there's no striving. With the practice of gratitude, what's so beautiful is we're waking up into the present moment. We're just stilling, allowing the mind to settle a bit in this way. And then we suddenly, it's all revealed. We do not really have to work at it. It flows very easily into our direct experience. It's a gift. It's beautiful, yeah? So that we're really just receiving, truly, what's already here. I love this Zen story of a student and a teacher on opposite sides of the river. I read this, I like it a lot because it points to the truth that it's already here. We're missing it a lot due to the filters of our habitual tendencies of how we think. You know, our thinking really shapes our view and experience of the world, and we're often very caught up with habitual patterns and constructions in the mind. So there's this Zen story. The student and the teacher, they're walking on either side of the river, and they're walking in the same direction, but at opposite sides. And the student's, looking over at the teacher, and he finally calls out to the teacher, "How do I get to the other side?" The teacher calmly stops and looks over and says, "You're already on the other side." Yeah. Is that kind of oh, did you feel your mind go, "Huh, that's right. We're already there." That's why this practice is so subtle and mysterious, is that it's so close. It's like this. That's good news, right? It's really close, all the time, in every moment. We can really only know gratitude from this mindfulness or Buddhist perspective. It can only be truly realized and experienced in the present moment. There's nowhere else that we can find it. It's not in the future that never quite arrives. It's not in the past that's already been. It's only in this moment, this fertile present moment, that we can really know the truth and know our blessings. It's beautiful, isn't it, that it's available this way? It's a kind of innate abundance that's already here. Often, sometimes I find myself kind of caught up in things. Does anyone know that feeling? Are you kind of caught up, thinking, planning, wanting, not wanting? And um, and sometimes I catch myself in that kind of trance. Doesn't it feel like a trance or being cast under a spell? We can live our whole lives that way. But often when I catch myself in that kind of trance of, oh, it should be different. Does anyone know that trance? And I say, sometimes I pause and I slow down. I say, what am I missing right now? And then I kind of, wake up a little bit, right? So by definition, from a Buddhist perspective, gratitude is considered a really profound support to wholesome states of mind and heart. The Buddha is really instructing and inviting us to know more and more, to cultivate, to know wholesome states of mind and heart, and to see how that shapes and changes and transforms our moment to moment experience and the unfolding of our lives. And think about it. And then, it really, gratitude really is considered a kind of antidote to some of the hindrances of mind, which are considered unwholesome states. Nothing's bad, or wrong. It's just not skillful. It's unwholesome. It adds to our suffering. It creates more suffering. It leads us astray. So often, the hindrance of greed or wanting things to be different, gratitude is this beautiful antidote where you just kind of sit back and you find yourself wanting it to be different or wanting something. And then you kind of notice that wanting. You notice the suffering that it's causing you. It causes suffering, doesn't it? It really erodes our well being. We really can feel it if we pay attention to our direct experience. And then in the feeling it, then gratitude becomes this natural way of going, what am I missing? And returning back into the bloom of the present moment. And suddenly it's like, hey, the sun's coming out. Ah, I have this nice warm cup of tea right here. My clothes are clean. These simple things. And then suddenly you're kind of back into a feeling of contentment. Do you see that? Do you see how it balances the mind, heart? And we want to know the difference and we want to feel the difference. And this contentment is always available to us. So, from a neuroscience, I'll just say a few words about this. From a neuroscience perspective, it's so amazing that the Buddha was hip to all this stuff 2,600 years ago. No, it's amazing. It's all like, okay. And there's such a full circle happening right now in consciousness studies. It's a lot of people studying consciousness is now, neuroscience and consciousness. It's really becoming a big field. Circling back into understanding consciousness through Buddhism because it's really a map that's already there for us. But from a neuroscience perspective, we're really when we that spell that we're breaking when we become more mindful, and I would say mindfulness is synonymous with gratitude. I think when we're truly mindful, everything's okay. you know it's really kind of breaking the spell of what we call the negativity bias, and that's just, I talked about this last week. It's just the brain's natural tendency. We're all kind of wired to worry or to focus on what could be wrong or what will be wrong, or right, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It really breaks that spell. It deactivates the default mode network. So there's some real truth to all this stuff. It's really something happening in the brain and the way that we're wired. I like it. I've heard James Baraz talk about creating wholesome states through gratitude practice. It's almost like we can refer to it as like cultivating the satellite dish of our mind. Isn't that a nice image? Now, listen, our mind is always a satellite dish in every moment, whether we're conscious of it or not. Think about how profound this is. This is also backed up by neuroscience. What are your coordinates? Have you ever seen a satellite dish kind of move? It's kind of cool. Does that? Do you guys know what I mean? When we're practicing, it's this. Ooh. It's doing that. It's doing that. Think about it. Where is your satellite dish set? You can only set it in the present moment if you're conscious of it. So when we're practicing, when we're cultivating gratitude, we're not looking for something. We're no, it's more of an internal kind of like shift or pivoting. And what the Buddha has discovered, and also it's backed up by neuroscience, is that wherever the coordinates of our mind state, that becomes our experience. Think about it. And it's up to you if you can be present. You can kind of go, oh, no, no, no. I'm going to set my coordinates in this present moment of being open to what's here. And I'm going to notice what's beautiful. And I'm going to be fully present, and think about it. Um, it's called a confirmation bias also. So it's all back to, has anyone heard these terms? It's profound. The attitude of mind and heart will determine what you experience. If your satellite dish of mind is kind of looking in this direction, that's all you're going to see. That's all you're going to live. It's all you're going to experience. Think about it. Has it ever been like a self-fulfilling prophecy for you where you've gotten into kind of a downward spiral and you just think, it's not worth it? Yeah, I don't know. You guys know, right? Those kinds of thoughts that come into your mind and take over. And isn't it become your reality? And those days where you wake up and you kind of shift the satellite dish of awareness and you go, no, I'm going to see the glass half full kind of thing. And this is not a spiritual bypass. This is just a wholesome, skillful way of living our lives. And then, before you know it, more and more, we just get flooded with goodness. It becomes our life. Isn't that beautiful? And guess what? It's not about making it happen or trying so hard. It's a rotation in consciousness. It's a shift when we practice. That's why we practice every day. We're refining those coordinates for the most wholesome outcomes for ourselves and others without pushing anything away, but staying open. So gratitude practice is kind of profound. Would you all agree, everybody? I think it is. So I want to shift a little bit into impermanence and this understanding of it as such an awakening factor for gratitude and also a profound awakening factor to enlightenment and liberation of the mind heart. So maybe many of you know this already, but I teach and we're just finishing up a course called A Year to Live. I know Rick is in the class. Is anyone else here in the class? Anyone else? Through Spirit Rock, yeah. They offer it at Spirit Rock. It's a year-long course. We just finished it up. We'll probably offer it again. It's profound. It's where together as a practice group through over a year, it's based on a book, A Year to Live. It's by Stephen Levine. It's where we actually live. It's hypothetical, of course, but at the beginning of the course, you do get a prognosis that you only have a year to live. What if you only had a year to live? What if you only had a year? What would you do differently? And how would it shift the way that you see things and experience things? So this course is really designed on that, but it's not to be morbid and it's not to be, oh no, it's to wake up to life before it's over. This is really it. It's it. This is it. Right now, you guys, this is it. You're in it. You're here. Isn't it beautiful to know that this is it? It is. I'm sure some part of you, when I say that, knows that I'm right. Do you feel it? Do you feel it? A little bit? It's like waking up from some sort of dream that we're waking up from. So I want to talk about impermanence as being such an important aspect to gratitude. Maybe many of you know that I work as a death doula, and that, and many people go, how could you do that? But it's actually the most profound experience is when people are touched by the truth of a terminal illness, something like that, and they can see that their life only has a certain amount of time left. Something happens that is so profound and beautiful, and people start waking up to their life. and start to becoming free. And I get to be witness to that. I get to be a midwife to their rebirth. What could be better? It's not what we think. For 10 years at UCLA, worked and with cancer patients, still work with cancer patients. And maybe some of you here are touched by cancer or know someone touched by cancer. So you know what I'm talking about here, right? And that, we would do gratitude practice, and we would be crying together, where in the group, we'd practice gratitude in this way, and we'd go around, and every single person said the number one thing that they were grateful for was that they got cancer. Can you believe that? That's what they were grateful for. It changed their life, and they started living in the way they never let themselves before. So it is this waking up. So I wanted to read to you. I just love this play that I saw, a certain production of it. Does anyone know Our Town by Thornton Wilder? Now, I saw I read this play when I was in high school. Did anyone else read it in high school? And I didn't get it. Did anyone else have that experience? I read it and I thought, oh, these people, they're just, I don't know, nothing's happening to these people. It's like, mm, right? This is a beautiful quote from Somerset Maugham, and I'm going to talk to you about the play that I saw. This is in New York. It was an amazing production. It must have been about 10 years ago now, I think. It was an amazing production. But this is a quote that I wanted to read by Somerset Maugham. It really points to impermanence as being such a portal into gratitude. He says, nothing in the world is permanent. And we're foolish when we ask anything to last. But surely we're still more foolish not to take delight in it while we have it. The big thing is that you shouldn't be at the end of your life and have any regret. Yeah, it's a good one, huh? Okay, okay. Nothing in the world is permanent. And we're foolish when we ask anything to last. But surely we're still more foolish not to take delight in it while we have it. This is the tragic truth of the human condition. So, Our Town. Okay, so I want to just share with you this play that I saw. We went to see it in New York. It had gotten these great reviews. It was in a small theater that was in the rounds. It was very intimate. And I remember walking in, and there was no set at all. We all sat down, and in the first act of the play, you guys might know the play, but it's about these people in Grover's Corners, and it's a small town. It could be a town in any part of the world. It could be anywhere. And they're just going about their lives. And in this production, the actors in the first act are just dressed like you and me. They're just in like rehearsal clothes or just their regular clothes. There's no set. So it's completely pared down. So we're all watching this play, and in the first act, nothing's happening. And there's no set and no costumes. And we're like, and I know it's funny, right? So I'm like, this play got really good reviews. The actors were good, they were good. But I'm sitting there after the first act, and I'm like, I wish something better would happen or something. Do you know what I mean? But he set you up for this. This is by design. So then the second act opens. I don't know why I'm so emotional these days. I think, does anyone, when you feel gratitude, do you cry? I've been crying so much because I'm so grateful. I can't believe it. So excuse me if I cry. I'll try not to. But this play makes, the understanding of this play does make me cry. So the second half of the play opens, and we're surprised to find that a number of the characters that were introduced to us in the first act are now passed away. We're like, where'd they go? And it kind of does this to you. You go, what happened? And they're all sitting, in this production, they were kind of sitting. They're like, they've passed away and they're sitting in chairs and they're looking back on the people that are still living and they're talking to each other and they're kind of okay and they're impassive and they're just, and you're like, oh, because you did like them. So you feel like a kind of, oh no, they died? Does anyone know that feeling when someone you know suddenly dies? So right away, it catches you there. And then there's one person who has passed away who, apart from the other people who've passed away, she's a lot younger, Emily. She's a young character, and she dies in childbirth. And she's with the people that have passed away, but she cannot rest. She cannot sit. She's not at peace. She cannot go. I don't know why I cry so much, you guys. I'm really kind of embarrassed. Anyway, I just cry so much. So it's so beautiful. So she says, I can't. And there's a stage manager character, who's kind of omniscient. And she pleads with him. She goes, please, please, can I go back to one day in my life? Just one day. Give me one more day. And the stage manager, mysteriously, he says, okay, all right, you can go back. Where would you like? And she goes, I'd like to return to my birthday when I was 14. And suddenly, there's in the theater, it was a theater in the round, but there's a curtain there in the back. And suddenly, the curtain is pulled back, and for the first time, there is a magnificent set. And it's her kitchen. It's like her house. There's light coming through the windows, like real sun. They've done the most beautiful job making this just hyper gorgeous. The sun is coming through. Her mother is standing. Everyone's in costume suddenly for the first time. So everything's suddenly like fully present. The mother is making bacon and sausage, and it's real on the stove. And it starts to, and you smell the bacon, you hear it cooking. And you're like, and it's so beautiful and it's so normal. There's nothing extraordinary about it. And she walks back into a day in her life. And she's walking down the stairs, and her mother goes, Emily, it's your happy birthday. Get ready for school. No one makes a big deal. But it's a very loving family. And she walks down, and she is completely in awe, and tears are just running down her face. And she can't believe it because she's finally really present in her life. And she's really there. And she walks around, and the whole audience is just sobbing. I mean, it's so beautiful. She's alive and she's present and she's looking at her mother like she's never seen her before. Do you know what I mean? She really sees her mom. And then the lines in the play, so beautiful. Sorry, you guys, I'm a wreck. I am. I've been a wreck lately. I've just been just absolutely blown away. Thank you. I really have been this way for a whole week. Anyway, okay, so Emily, she says, goodbye, world. Goodbye, Grover's Corners. Mama, Papa, goodbye to clocks ticking. And Mama's sunflowers and food and coffee. Oh, Earth, you're too wonderful for anybody to realize you. Do any human beings ever realize life while they live it? Every minute. And the stage manager says no. And then he pauses and he says, the saints and poets, maybe they do some. I would say the Buddha as well. It's a kind of enlightenment, isn't it? So this is a quote by uh, Thornton. He says, we can only be said to be truly alive in those moments when we're conscious of our treasures. Think about that. We can only said to be truly alive. If we're not alive in this way, we're kind of not really alive.